Welcome to the 27th
Mm-hmm.
episode of Vital Question. As always, I'm your host, Guerrero with
La Co-Host.
What Up, La Co-Host.
What up? Wow,
I,
you said that really serious. What up?
it's a serious topic right now.
It's always serious
It's always serious
topics.
topic. Yeah, when are we going to do what is the candy industry coming up with?
When everything stops imploding,
That's a good
you
point.
know, like maybe then.
That
Did you hear actually the Campbell's thing talking about candy and food and whatever?
No, what did the Campbell people say?
I think it was like a VP or something got caught on like a hot mic talk. Not even a hot mic. I forget if it was like a speech.
It
I
was
don't
a
know.
cold mic. He
I
was talking
didn't.
right into it.
I didn't look into it, but basically it's that he was making fun of Campbell's customers and that they're like so dumb enough to eat their food when it's like he called it like 3D printed food and was basically talking smack about like their customer base about like, oh yeah, these people are idiots, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yo, let me tell you this other story. It was a TikTok story, right? This not even, but it has to do with education. So we
Right.
educating here. So it was this guy. He couldn't talk about what company he worked for, but he said that he worked for a major plastic company and that he got invited over to
Tupperware.
I don't know Tupperware. I
Oh.
don't know if it's like, the Dixie company or whatever.
Okay.
But that so he got invited over to the CEO's house. It was like a barbecue, a potluck or something like that. So his thing was, oh, I'm gonna bring over my family's dish, and he brought it over in the Tupperware that the company makes.
Right, the plastic.
Yeah. And the wife, when he came in, the wife saw that and went, please throw that out.
Mm.
And he goes, oh, I'm sorry, are you guys allergic to this? Like, no, we don't eat anything that comes off of those Tupperware plastics.
Because they actually know what and it wasn't Tupperware, just be
Right.
the food storage plastic.
Right, because Tupperware is like it's like
A
Velcro.
brand.
They're a brand. I'm
Yeah.
not saying Tupperware the brand. I don't know the brands, but one of those plastic containers that you put your food in and you take it. The family essentially was like, we don't eat off of those things because we know how much plastics come off of it.
I'm not surprised, but
So these people are feeding us all this garbage, and they want to deregulate it to make it even more poisonous.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like we're gonna do a vital questions episode on like health and
Let
stuff.
us know if you want to do what is the vital questions you have, because these are all questions that we have.
Yeah.
But what are the ones that we can dig in for you?
Yeah, a lot of times it's us looking at like researching news stories and coming across certain headlines and being like, oh, actually, this is crazy. Let's, dig into this.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you read the podcast episode title, we are digging into how the DOE, the Department of Education, redefining quote professional degree affects everyone. So if it were, unless you wanted to preview something else, I can dive right in.
It. No, let's dive right in because I know Donald Trump every week is doing so much crazy stuff that some of these things may seem insignificant. Okay, I'm not going to college.
Right? Yeah, I'm not going to school. I'm not trying to be a nurse. I'm not trying to be a physical therapist. Who cares? Like
this was a small story from a few days ago. What the hell?
You should care.
You should care.
Yeah, there's a reason why people are, in my opinion, understandably upset. To clarify, the redefining or the reclassification of what is a professional degree is for the purpose of taking out federal student loans. So that is a really important distinguishing point because I think people are, again, understandably, because I can't even imagine if law degrees were included in that. Like I would have been pissed. So understandably upset if their degree was removed from what's considered a professional degree because it is a slap to the face, right? Like, of course, these are all professional degrees. But it is an important distinction that screw what this administration says first and foremost, right? But then also specifically, this is about who can take out or certain caps on graduate student loans that are being imposed by the administration and who can take out certain loans and up to what amount.
Yeah.
So that's what this is being tied to, but there is a domino effect to all that.
And we'll get into this, but you got to realize Donald Trump doesn't put out any policy or any law unless it's to hurt a group.
Or several groups.
Unless
we're putting just marginalized people in a group.
Several groups. So these, you'll see.
Yeah.
Preview, stick around. You'll see why he chose certain degrees.
Yeah, exactly. And again, in terms of the reasons why,
we never know the
admittedly,
reasons
yes, it's speculation. Right. But I mean, regardless, the impact is there. So let's just dive right in, right?
Right.
So just to start off, this reclassification is tied to the changes that the Trump administration made to the Department of Education earlier this year through the One Big Beautiful Bill, which included annual and lifetime caps on how much money specifically graduate students can borrow from federal student loans depending on the type of degree they're pursuing. So that's where the concept of professional versus non-professional graduate degree comes in, because there are different limits to both. So to clarify, we're not covering all of the changes the Department of Education is making because there's a lot. There's also changes being made at the undergraduate level. They have actually removed just student loan options entirely. Just certain type of categories of student loans are just non-existent anymore.
Wow.
So now they're kind of reconfiguring it to be supposedly more mainstream, but really that just means less options for student loans.
What's more mainstream as far as loans? Oh, are they doing that whole DEI thing that you couldn't get a loan really if you want to go for like African American studies or some bullshit?
Well, right. Like, I
Not
think
that not that the study is some bullshit, but they believe it's some bullshit.
right. Like it's not necessarily about that. I didn't like dig into that separate
Right.
category because technically it is a separate category of loan types
Mhm.
because we're talking about undergraduate versus graduate. But my understanding is that there were several different federal loan options for undergraduate degrees. Now, from several, top of my head, like let's say hypothetically it was 4 or 5, now there's 2 or 3,
Okay.
which means less, literally like less options than what you can qualify for and all that. And
Wow.
I'm assuming caps on that potentially too.
Right.
But again, I didn't dig into that, so I'll put that aside. But just want to flag for everyone that there is a lot more happening in the Department of Education and relating to federal student loans that we can cover in this episode. But for the purpose of this episode, it is focused on the graduate level. So this is right, like I said, tied to the stupid BBB. And instead of what I found funny is that instead of using legislation to try and cap how much schools can charge students or figure out a way to help students afford the really expensive cost of higher education, the administration is imposing these caps instead. Supposedly, the goal is to help students from borrowing more than they can afford, and they're also hoping that this encourages colleges to rein in tuition costs. But again, we live in the US and it's a capitalist society, and things are not getting cheaper for those schools either.
Mhm.
So I highly doubt that schools are going to just voluntarily lower their fees just because certain people can't afford to go
Yeah.
there.
And this is like, I think this is the point now where I kind of wanted to tell you, like, this is something that kind of needed to happen,
Mhm.
but of course, the Trump administration is not doing it the way it's required. Because, like I was sort of explaining to you a little bit before, there is a history of the more the government did give people loans higher than they could borrow,
They
the
could afford.
they could afford, right? The more colleges were like, well, why would I charge you 35 if you can borrow 75? And then when borrowing,
You're saying, yeah, just to clarify, you're saying that the more that people could borrow, the higher the charge, the tuition fees that colleges were
yeah,
charging.
it
Yeah.
was a tit for tat thing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, hey, I could borrow 75, but your classes are only 35, you know what I mean? Then the school was like, well, I'm not going to charge you 35 if you have 75 in the bank. I'm going to charge you 80.
Yeah.
So the school it was like tit for tat. The
Yeah.
government gave more, the school up. And now they're like, oh, well, we're trying to, well, no, you're not, you're actually hurting the students
Correct.
because, like we said, there's no guarantee that Harvard or
Just any school.
any school will actually lower their
Right.
tuition.
And that's why they're framing it as, "Oh, we're trying to help the students," and also hoping that this takes us back, I guess to your point, to back in the day when they weren't charging as much. But my point is that we're already here,
Yeah.
and as we've seen from just, I don't know, the history of the US, especially companies, because essentially a lot of these schools are ultimately companies. This is a business,
Yeah.
right? Like, yes, they're not technically a company, but they function somewhat like it because it's a business.
Yeah. I
Right?
mean,
So they're not gonna voluntarily lose millions of dollars just because they want to altruistically want to include people that can't afford their insane tuition rates. Like,
yeah.
sure, they'll have a handful of scholarships or whatever the hell to look nice, but that's not gonna just come out of their own volition of, "Yeah, we're gonna drop all our fees for the sake of the
Yeah.
future."
I mean,
I
that's
would
like
love to think that they're that honest, but
that's like telling people right now, no, no, we're not paying you any more money at your job because if you don't have more money, the bread man will lower his prices.
right. And
The
like, and
You're starving, so the bread man at one point he's gonna lower his bread prices, so you're not starving no more.
And that's my point, that they could have, instead of focusing on capping students and being like, "Oh, well, you guys can't afford this." Right, that's the problem. So go after the people that are setting those prices.
Exactly.
And I didn't have the time to go into whether what kind of mechanisms they can use to try to put caps on what schools do. But I'm gonna guess, given what we've seen this year, you have the ability to cause all this havoc. I'm gonna guess you have the ability, if you wanted to cause some good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah. What they can block Harvard from having international students, but they can't block Harvard from like charging $80,000. No, you were like 100 and
well,
we'll get into
uh-huh.
we'll get into the exact numbers in just a minute. Uh-oh,
So
sneak peek
the
numbers.
caps themselves, looking at the Department of Education website. Let me put this a little bigger for myself here. So looking at the Department of Education website, the press release back in November 6, 2025, entitled U.S. Department of Education concludes negotiated rulemaking session to implement the One Big Beautiful Bill Act loans provisions. And this is just kind of summarizing a recent meeting that they had.
Mhm.
And the highlighted part here, quote, beginning in July 2026, the OBA, which is One Big Beautiful Bill Act, caps, and then going back to the quote, the OBA caps annual loans for new borrowers at 20,500 for graduate students, 100,000 aggregate limit, and 50,000 for professional students, 200,000 aggregate limit, a term the committee defined consistent with existing regulatory text. So what this basically means is that the cap now for, again, these are all graduate student scenarios, is 20,500 per year for graduate students and 100,000 cap for a lifetime for graduate students. And for professional degrees, the cap is 50,000 per year and 200,000 for lifetime. Meaning for the lifetime, I believe of of the student pursuing that degree, that's what they can go after.
Whoa, so even you don't know if that's not going to take 4 years, maybe 6 years, who knows, right?
Right, like if life hits or you just never know.
Your max is 200,000.
Yeah, your max is
You
200,000
can't fail a class.
if you right, exactly, if your degree qualifies as a quote unquote professional degree,
Yeah.
which is why the distinction is incredibly important. So I mentioned that, law schools in this scenario were not the law degree isn't captured, right? So it's
Right.
still considered a professional degree, thankfully. If not, they would have had a lot of angry lawyers or angrier than, but I thought of just seeing the numbers, I'm like, this, I'm going to take a wild guess and just assume that it's not enough because I personally know it's not enough for a professional degree. Looking at the $50,000 cap per year, most law schools charge more than 50,000
Yeah.
just in tuition,
Yeah.
right? So I was just curious, and I was like, well, I wonder what like the top law school or one of the top law schools charges. So looking at Harvard, this is straight from the Harvard website. This is their cost of attendance for 2025 to 2026 and what they considered standard, right?
Damn.
So a standard monthly budget or 9-month budget, we're looking at just tuition for Harvard Law School is 80,760, right? So you've already blown what you could possibly get in federal student loans,
Right.
right? Then looking at they have a mandatory health fee of 1,800. God knows what the hell that is, right? So direct cost is at a minimum, you're being charged $82,560.
Okay.
So then if you sign up for their health plan, which who knows whether or not you need to, it's a separate fee of 4,000 and
Right.
change. Housing could be upwards of 18,000 depending on your housing situation.
Mhm.
Food could be upwards of 6,000. Personal expenses, they estimate, obviously that varies depending on the person. And this other section, which is pretty much required, right? Books, course materials, supplies, and equipment. All of that varies depending on the course or the classes that you take, right? And those
Mhm.
requirements. But generally speaking, that number is roughly right. They're quoting it at 1,700.
Wow.
Law school textbooks are not cheap.
Mhm.
Like you can easily spend several $100 on just one textbook.
Mhm.
So I just want to flag for everyone as an example the fact that
And the total estimated cost,
it's so wild
$121,000
because I think people look
a
at these
year.
numbers are like, oh yeah, that's fine. Have you ever looked into how much these things cost? It's actually not that cheap. So I did want to flag that as an example of that. And I was actually thinking, okay, well, that's Harvard Law School. So what if we do a different law school? Just and again, I'm going law school because that's what I know.
Yeah.
But if we do a different law school, like, and again, no, not taking shots at Toro Law. I just know it's a lower tier school. Let me remove here. And sorry, just
That's okay.
why isn't it showing here?
Um,
Weird.
there we
Okay,
go.
there you go. So we're looking at this is Toro University,
Mhm.
and this is paying for law school. They have a whole pre-law advisement, and essentially it's focused on, hey, law school is really expensive, no matter where you go. And because of recent right here, but recent changes in federal law mean that you'll be limited to $50,000 per year on federal loans for law school. So then it goes into
Well, school's already putting this up?
yeah. Well, yeah, because this is hurting them too, because it's less students that are able to go and attend.
Whoa, I didn't realize that school's already like, hey, we know it's gonna be a difficult year for some of y'all to be able
Mhm.
to finish financially. So what are they requiring? Are they saying they're gonna lower their fees? Are they saying they're gonna help their students? Are they saying that they're ready to make up the difference themselves?
No.
Oh,
So they're saying unless just reading off of this, unless and this is no knock on Toro at all. It's more of just a lot of different law schools are putting out this messaging of like, see, trying to look out for future students. Like, hey, just a heads up. Not sure if you heard, and if you've been living under a rock, but this is happening. But to your point, it's not like they're saying, oh, because of that, we're going to add significantly more assistance and we're sponsoring stuff and whatever. Like, I'm sure maybe some schools are
mm-hmm.
putting some stuff out there to try to help, but realistically, at the end of the day, it's a business,
Yeah.
right? So reading just off of the Toro page, quote, unless you are a person of independent means, obtaining the money to pay for law school requires careful planning. Almost every law school provides merit-based aid, which at New York City law schools is principally based on your LSAT score. This means, just continuing, this means that rather than being satisfied with simply achieving an LSAT score high enough to gain admission, you should strive for the highest possible LSAT score. Since a gain of even 2 points could mean $30,000 or more towards law school tuition. Talk with your pre-law advisor about retaking the LSAT while your application is pending at law schools, or even after you received an offer of admission.
How much is it to get the LSAT?
I already forgot.
So what?
Let
I gotta
me look.
spend like $2,000 to be able to get.
Hold on, does it? I already forgot. This is so long
That
ago.
is so
The
crazy.
cost to
That is
get
so rude.
the
I'm
LSAT.
sorry, schools are like, yo, you try being smarter? You tried being smarter so you can get more money? Do you
Well,
see how they put the responsibility? Do you see?
oh, okay,
Okay,
yeah. The LSAT is 248, so it's a couple $100. But again, when you're a college student and presumably broke, like,
yeah.
but yeah. So yeah, you were saying.
Let's take a beat here. Because I'm sorry, like co-host does this research and sometimes she'll bring stuff up and I'm like, that is shocking. And I know that you don't expect that to shock me, but the biggest problem that we have in this country is a problem with individualism.
Hmm.
That we put so much responsibility on the individual of having to make it in a society that has so many obstacles.
Hmm.
And when they don't, we go, you see, you're a failure.
Hmm.
This school knows that.
It's not specifically the. I don't,
No,
again,
no,
don't want
not
to
this
just
school, not this
schools
school,
generally.
schools. Excuse me. I'm not calling it right. We're not calling, but schools
Hmm.
understand, anything will understand. Hey, the government just took away your resource,
Right.
something you're entitled
Yeah,
to.
it's giving you the heads up.
No, it's not. It's basically then going, hey, be smarter, get more points on the LSAT. That's one way.
No, no, no. I know. If you I was gonna get into the fact that like that it's messed essentially how they're framing it is messed up. It's being framed as, hey, we're just looking out for you.
Yeah.
That's why I jokingly said that. Like, oh, they're just looking they're not.
No, I know you were joking around, but it's still it really bothered me, the individualism that they put on people, like just get a better test score.
Well, right. And it's the same thing that this government is doing, right? About focusing the attention on, to your point, the
Be
student.
richer.
Yeah, the student and the individual, like, oh, as if the problem isn't the system that we're working within. The problem is that everything is so expensive, including tuition to get into these schools and just do literally just get a degree and go out and get a job. That's what these
And
kids are trying
yeah.
to do. That's not kids. Everyone's an adult at that point. But like that's what
Kids 18, 19, yeah,
yeah, but
still.
that's what everyone's trying to do at that point, right? Like once you're in a graduate program, you're pursuing higher education. You're not out here trying to do anything bad. And you would think that a country that actually cares about the people within it and cares about having more educated people, if presumably this administration cared about that,
Mm-mm.
you would try to make it easier and not harder for people to attend college. And they're
Yeah.
framing it under the guise of, oh, we just don't want people to be stuck in student loans or whatever. Great, but you know what's an easier way to do that? Literally not allow people to charge so much.
Yeah.
Subsidize whatever you need to subsidize. Maybe the billions of dollars that you've spent on making up fake crises in this country could have gone towards that.
Yeah. You
Just a
actually could have
thought.
subsidized college for a lot
Because
of
I love
people.
that everyone, whenever there's a concept of helping out students or student loans, everyone instantly goes, where's that money coming from? I don't know, wherever the hell they found that other money.
Yeah, there's
They can find it.
there's like 2,000, a possible 500 more
Hmm.
National Guards in DC just walking around picking up garbage right now. You know how
Exactly.
much that's costing? That's costing the amount of tuition for a lot of people in this country for years.
Right, exactly. And that could have been addressed, but instead now we're getting more caps and limits and it being framed as, oh, the administration's trying to help students, but it's not. So bringing back up our presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord, wrong one. So we have, okay, so the Harvard thing, right? So now moving on to the actual definitions and where we can find things. Again, I like to show straight from the source. I know a lot of different publications have been talking about this, but just so no one thinks that we're making stuff up, this is looking at the Code of Federal Regulations. This is a government website looking at the actual law itself, so there's no question.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at Title 34, subtitle B, Chapter 6, Part 668, Subpart A, subsection 668.2.
Look that shit up.
So that way you know it's legit.
So that way you know we out here telling you the truth. Subsections.
So this is where the changes in the definitions come up. And if you scroll down to the section where it defines professional degree, it says, let's go down here. So it says professional degree is a degree that signifies both completion of academic requirements for beginning practice in a given profession and a level of professional skills beyond normally required of a bachelor's degree. Professional licensure is also generally required. And then it goes to the examples. So an important part here is it goes on, examples of a professional degree include but are not limited to. Stopping there just for everyone, include but are not limited to means that this is not a definitive list.
Mm-hmm.
Are not limited to means that you can add in more stuff. So just throwing that out there.
Right.
Nurses and physical therapists and the couple of the other degrees we're going to discuss, unfortunately, have been defined out. But just flagging it that as time goes on, there could be more degrees added to this.
Right.
But the current list as it stands is for what is covered as a professional degree is pharmacy, dentistry, veterinary medicine, chiropractic, law, medicine, optometry, osteopathic medicine, podiatry, and theology per the statute itself, right?
Theology like religion? That's crazy.
Right. So that's what
That's crazy.
Well, it's I didn't look into like theology specifically, but what's funny is that the concept of theology just generally has been very jarring for people considering what's been left out. A lot of the kind of health and physical medicine degrees have been left out, where it's just like, really? We're gonna be theologian things out here.
Right.
We're gonna talk about theories and people are need physical therapy because they broke their hip and like need some rehab. But
so these are still on the professional list.
these are still on the professional list.
So you need Jesus. You can go to college for Jesus. But if you want to be a nurse, it's not gonna be that easy.
MDiv. Let me see. MDiv degree. Oh yeah, Master of Divinity. Yeah, so MDiv is Master of Divinity. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I just wanted to double check because that's what I've been assuming this entire time.
That's crazy.
It is that, yeah.
So you can learn more about Jesus than you can learn about nursing in this country.
Yeah. So if that ain't a sign of the times.
If that ain't a sign of the time. If you want to go to college and pray to God something changes, we'll give you as much money as you need.
Exactly.
So, but I mean, these people also learn the history of
no, right. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, you know what I mean? if you have to pick between the two, I'm gonna guess, I don't know, nurses and physical therapists and social workers, and I don't know, in my opinion, are a little more vital.
That is insane, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo. Okay.
But so
we're always
those were
something new here at Vital Questions.
Those were the first 10 that were approved. And going back to where was it? This press release that I mentioned earlier from the Department of Ed that they released talking about the rulemaking session. So from that rulemaking session came an additional degree that's covered. So citing to a CNBC article titled "Students pursuing these 11 degrees will be eligible to take out up to $200,000 in federal loans under the new borrowing limits." This is dated back November 26th. So in this article, we find that fortunately another degree was added later on in that session.
Okay.
In that rulemaking session, clinical psychology was added during that. So clinical, and again, even clinical psychology was on the table to be not considered a professional degree.
Jesus.
As if we don't have
brand new redefinitions of what professional's degrees are.
Of what professional degree is for taking out federal student graduate loans.
Yes. And wow, that's a very short list.
So, and that's why I think a lot of times people use that catch-all language of including but not limited to kind of signify, hey, this is not meant to be a total list, right? This is not the entire list that we're contemplating, but it is very telling what they chose not to include and what they are confirming is not included, right? So
again, theology, podiatry. Okay.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, no, they're being very specific on which ones they're still considering professional degrees.
Yeah. And I think it is very telling. So,
Although I got to tell you, veterinary medicine. Do you know why that is?
because everyone
Because
loves dogs.
well, that and so many rich people have Yorkies and stuff like that. You know, they need their vets.
Right, but if that's the case, I don't know. I don't
First
want
of
to
all,
get.
I think all of these are pretty. Like, first of all, rich people need their Vicodin. Rich people, after they do drugs, they need their dentist. They also need their dogs to be taken care of. They also need their back after they got cracked out with all those sex parties. They need their bags. They also need lawyers. Do you know what I mean? I feel like these are all very specific to the things they still need professionals in their lives.
I mean, they also. I guess that's true. Yeah, and the funny thing is though, because I'm just thinking about like social workers and child protection agencies and all that stuff. Like
That to them, they don't care about that.
that's insane to me.
Yeah, you see, that's why like they saw Trump's feet and they put podiatry number 9. They're like, yo, we need something for his cankles, and we need something to help get him into heaven, theology, and just in case he is a little crazy, clinical psychology. These are all things that Trump need in his life. Those are not professionals for us; those are professionals for them and their comfort.
Yeah, that sounds right. And it also seemed like the most kind of not top. That sounds insulting. It seems like the most kind of primary fields of study that are just kind of like, oh well, we need these, we need these, we need these, right? But then a lot of the things that these other degrees that are no longer covered, to your point, kind of protect and help out on is
Yeah,
subject matter that they don't really care
yeah.
about.
Do you know when I worked at a hospital, which we'll get into some of these degrees, um, do you know who 80% of the time people who deal with patients are?
Hmm.
The nursing assistant or the home health aide.
Oh yeah,
They actually spend the most. So they actually taken away easier for people who spend the most amount of time. Nurses and nursing assistants, even janitors,
yeah.
spend more times with patients than doctors actually do.
Yeah, of course. If anyone thinks about any doctor visit they ever have, how much time do you actually spend with your doctor? Unless
Especially if
it's
you're in a hospital,
yeah,
they
if
just
you're
call your doctor.
exactly. If you're seeing your primary doctor, which you'll probably have a different relationship with, that's fine. Um, but even then, a lot of times you do interact more with nurses and doctors are running around doing the quick 10-minute
Hmm.
interaction and then you have the nurses, you have aides, you have everyone else kind of actually doing the day-to-day care of
Yeah,
people. And even if you're listening to this and you're healthy and that's wonderful, but just because you're healthy doesn't mean you're not going to have issues in the future and doesn't mean that you probably have family members or loved ones that are currently be affected by some kind of health issue,
exactly.
which
It's
is very
yeah,
real.
yeah. It's also very ableist to be like, well, I don't care. I'm all right now. But anyways, La Co-Host, by the way, I really do have to say, amazing, amazing research so far.
Thanks.
Amazing research so far, because this is all blowing my mind under just that list alone. Like, that seems very self-serving list,
Yeah.
if you ask me.
In the sake of transparency, I
Hmm.
do want to flag that per this article, and it's mentioned in other articles too, because I think there's a kind of misunderstanding in terms of timing, right? So this highlighted language here says the Department of Education will publish the regulation in its current form in the Federal Register in the coming months, where the public will have the opportunity to give feedback before it becomes final. So technically, this kind of sounds like these caps and these redefining reclassification of degrees isn't final yet.
Yes.
It sounds like they're going to publish it and then allow for public comment. But I do want to flag, I think there's a reason why publications are framing it as final because we've already seen how this administration does not respond to the public at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Because if they did, maybe they would stop, I don't know, everything that they're doing.
Yeah. That's so crazy. There's
But
no RN. There's no. We're gonna get into that. That is unreal.
yeah, so let's just slide through, right? So a Newsweek article entitled Full List of Degrees Not Classed as quote professional by a Trump admin. This is dated November 26, 2025. So let's get into what is not considered a professional degree. First and foremost, nursing, which has been causing a lot of the controversy.
Hmm.
We also have physician assistants, physical therapists, audiologists, architects, accountants, educators, social workers. I'm gonna put a pin on accountants, just FYI. So because of timing, we unfortunately don't have time to get into all of these different really important professions and degrees that I think we've all at some point or another, whether directly or through loved ones, have touched on all of
Hmm.
these and have needed all of these.
This is insane.
But accountants, just flagging, recently, I think didn't what's his face, the orange man get rid of the ability to do your own taxes?
Yeah. 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 He got rid of all those like free.
Right. So now we're gonna
Yeah.
have because that's what this actually dominoes into, y'all. Like the fact that we have caps on
Accountants. He really doesn't want rich people to be able to do their taxes.
no, no, no. Well, my point is I think he doesn't want people to be able like poor people to be able to find affordable accountants. Because if you
Oh,
diminish
yeah, yeah.
if you put caps on student loans, let's play out the domino. Put caps on student loans for these different degrees, right? And so you have two-tier caps. The caps for anything not professional is an even lower cap, right? So meaning that if you can't afford to pay for these degrees on your own, and if you don't have good enough credit, because that's the other thing. People are like, oh, well, they can get private loans. Yeah, assuming that they've been building their credit, assuming that they've been financially savvy enough to do that, assuming their life circumstances haven't, like, I don't know, dragged them through the fucking mud and they didn't need to spend that money elsewhere. Yeah, that's a lot of assumptions. Let's
Yeah, that's
just
where
play that out.
federal government comes in to step in for places for people who cannot get regular loans through the regular market, through like
Correct.
Bank of America.
Right, exactly. And also people forget that our student loan system is very predatory. There's a reason why federal student loan interest rates are significantly worse than what businesses will get for business loans. Right? Why are we preying on literally students who are just starting out their lives? That's what I genuinely don't understand. And it's been allowed to exist like in this way for a while now, right? So instead of having a great opportunity to address these issues head on and put caps on what can be charged, you're putting caps on the people that can't afford school
Yeah.
because you want to keep them in their lower tier place in society.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to actually get out and put up their bootstraps. You actually don't believe in the American dream because if you did, then you would be encouraging it because that's what the actual American
No, they
dream
don't
is.
want
But
competition.
I know that. I'm just trying to flag it for
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
else
yeah, 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 yeah.
because this is what all these things
It's
mean.
that
That
old
kind
La
of
Co-Host sarcasm.
because people again don't see the bigger picture, and it is very frustrating for everyone to kind of brush certain things aside because it doesn't seemingly affect them directly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just wanted to flag that about accountants and given that new recent news that you can't it seems like you can't do your taxes on your own. You have to go to an accountant, which now there will be less of.
Yeah, less of them. And it's true. We ran through a list, right? Like nursing, physician assistant, physical therapist, audiologist,
Yeah,
architect.
physical therapist. If you get
Physical.
into an accident and you break a hip,
This is
you have hip surgery, and guess what happens afterwards? Rehab.
rehab.
You're supposed to go to a physical therapist, and for
And
anyone
guess
that's
what? You can get a nurse at the house.
right, exactly, to help you move around.
And guess what? It'd be cheaper for you to see a physician's assistant,
Right, rather than a
a
doctor.
doctor.
Because guess what? Remember the issues that we're having with our medical insurance and all of that stuff, and all the subsidies are about to go to shit because Democrats couldn't hold the line. Like,
Yeah.
again, y'all, it's all tied together.
If I'm not mistaken, do you know when you go to those emergency cares, like in your neighborhood, those like you run in and out?
The urgent care,
The urgent cares,
yeah,
yeah. A lot of those are physician's assistant because they can
yeah.
operate in lower level things that are much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all things that are our communities, low, low income or maybe
Yeah, people that can't
not
afford
rich, wealthy people.
because
Yes.
because
Nurses pick up a lot of the slack at the hospitals,
Mhm.
physician's assistants, physical therapists,
also we have educators here as if
educators,
literally
social workers.
social workers, meaning that if you, for example, have a family member and you're like, I know that something's up, I know they need help in some kind of way, you try to call 911, at best you're gonna have some cops showing up and hopefully they don't blast their face off.
Wow. Yo,
Instead of a social worker who actually can potentially help and intervene and give them the proper help they need. Now, when you also consider the different aspects of society and how everything's kind of collapsing in different ways around us, this is literally the worst possible time to be putting caps on the people that could help a lot of these issues.
educators and social workers.
Yeah.
And the accountants, yo, we never thought we wouldn't miss you like that. But yo, no more accountant jokes in sitcoms. I'm tired of it. Them homies are not boring.
Them homies.
Them homies are doing it.
Not them homies.
But this is thank you for breaking this down because I did not see the way it is. They're still keeping professionals for the things that they require.
Mm-hmm.
You see that.
Well, it's not only that, it's they're keeping, because of course this is going to diminish the amount of all of these nurses, physician assistant, physical therapists, etc. available, right? So let's play out the scenario. Now the supply is diminished, meaning that, and we've already seen more and more privatization
That's what I'm
of
saying. Yeah.
health insurance and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how do we see this play out? So do we really think it's going to be, oh, everyone's going to be altruistic and going back to that hypothetical scenario that everyone's just going to want to help for free? No, these people are going to go for whoever's paying and who has the funds to pay for this help. When there's limited quantity of assistance, like we saw in the pandemic, we saw how hellscapey it became. How do we think this is going to play out?
Yeah.
So Yeah, so as we can see, obviously, so by no means is it trying to diminish the importance of the other degrees
No, of
that are
course
not
not.
classed as professional. But because of everything that we just discussed, we are going to be focusing on nurses, right? So people are understandably upset about the fact that nurses were left out. And it is crazy because just a few years ago during the pandemic, we were
Mhm.
honoring them as essential. And now future nurses may not even be able to get funding for their degrees. So looking at this NBC News article, Trump administration says nursing isn't a professional degree amid new limits on loans. So though the administration in this article they discuss about the fact that the administration claims they're trying to pressure schools to lower tuition costs through these loan caps, but many people, including myself, don't actually believe that's going to happen, right?
Especially now that you're pointing out which of the degrees that they're trying to do this little cap with, the
Hmm.
degrees that okay, okay, buddy. Okay,
Right,
buddy. Nobody sees through your bullshit.
exactly.
I mean, except anyways.
So in the same article, I just want to flag a quote from this person, Antonia Villarruel, which I said with a Spanish accent. So who knows? Antonia, I don't know if you're Latina, but there you go.
Antonia Villarruel.
I feel like that she's Latina.
Or maybe it's like Italian, like Antonia
Oh, it could
Villarruel.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just always assume everyone Latino. But so this is
So do I. Made a mistake too.
the dean of nursing at the University of Pennsylvania said, quote, this is not going to decrease the cost. It's an expensive program to train to educate practitioners. The simulated experiences that they have, so they're not experimenting with patients in the hospital, they do it on dummies and all that, and that all costs, she said. Oh, there you go. We are already, I was like, I don't know, maybe Antonio's also a guy. Who knows?
No, it's
I
Antonia.
just realized I also keep assuming everything. She continues, we are already looking for efficiencies in what we teach without compromising quality. So that's another aspect that I actually didn't even think about, right? Given these careers, especially nursing, they do need to practice online. They need medical equipment to practice on to
Yeah.
try things out.
No.
And that costs money too. So just in the same way that I mentioned that for law schools, it's a little different, right? Because we don't have like those kinds of equipment. So I don't know what the reasoning is there, but for certain programs like nursing, there is just the cost of things, right? For schools, there's
Yeah.
just the cost of creating the program itself.
Mhm.
Now, I'm sure there's ways to diminish the cost of that,
Mhm.
right? But like there is just the reality of things aren't necessarily getting cheaper for others, so we can't expect them to just voluntarily lower their costs without figuring out where that comes from.
Especially in the medical field, because
Right.
that is actually I didn't think about that. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe like an English degree, you can lower that. Hey, you can charge me a little less for English. I already speak it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like medicine, it does require a lot of tools. It does require a lot of needs, cadavers, or so yeah, so that way I can understand like, oh, okay, it's a little higher price because you do need to teach people more,
Mhm.
especially on the human body.
Exactly, right. So like that one makes a little, but still my point is that like the focus of these caps and their rationale is to supposedly help students. And if you actually wanted to do that, you would be flipping it around.
Flipping around.
And you would, I don't know, maybe not have when you take out a student loan, not have it break up into 5 different loans, and each of those loans have separate interest rates. Because hey, in case you didn't know, that's how at least law school loans came out, because that's how I'm experiencing it, right? Like there's there's a reason why people say it's predatory and you don't actually realize it. When you compare the interest rates that are applied to student loans versus business loans, and when you see how they break apart student loans to intentionally have all these different interest rates so that way they compound and make it even more difficult so that way you're just paying off interest for the rest of your life rather than the principal. Yeah, it's predatory.
Yeah,
There's so many
that
ways you
is.
can actually be helping students.
Yeah, I didn't think about how much nicer they're
Take it
actually up
from
to
a former
businesses.
student who's still dealing with the BS.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what's funny now you mentioned that? Do you know, like, now that I realize, like, most scams are business scams, not school scams,
Yeah,
because school scams are kind of pretty hard to get that money because it's so predatory. But like business scams, you can get a business loan very easily. Do you know what I mean? Like
because it
business scams are,
encourages
yeah,
capitalism.
yeah.
Yeah,
Business scams are so easy to
the
pull.
return on investment in education isn't the same. It's pretty
Mm-mm.
straightforward. You
So
can't
they
really
have to be predatory in that sense.
correct.
Yeah,
And they take advantage of people that can't afford it
yeah.
by usually no fault of their own,
No,
right? Like they
well,
just
the
weren't.
government's fault.
That's why I said right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why I said by usually.
yeah. That's
So
crazy.
yeah, it's not great. So staying on the same
Mhm.
article, this
Yeah.
NBC News article, just flagging here in the top of that. So what does this mean for nursing? So the article goes on to say that the Department of Education claims that their data shows, quote, 95% of nursing students borrow under the $20,500 annual limit and won't be affected by the change. I'm gonna take a wild guess and just say that that's BS because I know for law school that's BS. So I can imagine for nursing it's also BS. But sure enough, the article continues. Data published in July by the National Center for Education Statistics shows that on average, graduate nursing programs cost more than $30,000 a year. And if you're asking, like I did, what the hell is the National Center for Education Statistics?
Mhm.
I'm glad you asked. So I went to their website because I was like, what the hell are you? So they are actually a government agency, which is responsible or quote responsible for collecting, analyzing, and reporting data on the condition of US education to help improve student outcomes. And this is a .gov website. So this the meaning the government is contradicting the government's data. Just want to
Yeah,
flag that.
that's what I'm saying. The when a statement gets put out by the Department of Education, it's like Linda McMahon's people
Exactly,
that
just
don't
making
even
shit up.
read their own data saying, "Hey, no,
They just they put out statements without cross checking
no, but
anything,
that's the whole
ever trying.
point.
Yeah,
This is all lies. They
right.
they can look at their own data and know that their math is off by $10,000, which means we need to fund our schools better if your own fucking government can't do the math right.
Exactly.
Linda, Linda, your people can't do the math right.
Maybe just go back to the wrestling ring. Maybe that's just do that a little bit. Just go back
No,
to.
stay away from all businesses, Linda.
Oh, I don't really care about wrestling. That's
Well, what she let the people at WWE do to those children allegedly? It's terrible.
what?
Oh,
Oh my god! Of course there
there's a
is.
whole
Jesus
yeah. Linda
Christ!
McMahon also with Vince McMahon
Allegedly.
allegedly allowed like young boys who were like ring boys,
Okay.
like they helped her on the ring and they came
Uh,
they
I
let
have
those
not
kids
looked into
be
this, so
essayed. Oh, there's a whole case about
I
it.
cannot speak
There's
to it.
documentaries about it. It's on Netflix. They talked about it.
Oh,
Yes,
crazy
so it's
shit.
not like I'm. It's not no. There
No, I
was
mean I figured you weren't making stuff up, but I
no.
was like,
Yeah, yeah. There was
I don't know if I could co-sign because I don't know.
allegedly people abused children. And Linda McMahon and Vince McMahon
Enabled it.
allegedly enabled it and knew about it.
Great.
Yeah, this whole administration is nothing but unprofessional motherfuckers, and they're gonna tell us what's professional or not.
Yeah. And on that note, so this is all coming as we have a nursing shortage.
Dun dun
In case you
dun.
didn't know, and in case you haven't visited a hospital or tried to schedule appointments for anything, because I don't know, I've had recent health things end of last year that showed me how messed up our medical system was and how the lack of resources we have. So there actually is a nursing shortage. Yeah. What
I
happened?
was gonna say somebody who worked as a
Mm-hmm.
nursing assistant up until 3 years ago, and thank you so much for helping me transition out of the work to all the great fans who follow me, who follow the work. So please subscribe and help us continue to not have to go back. Well, me specifically, to have to go back to being a nursing assistant. Please continue supporting our work. But anyways,
I wasn't expecting a plug there.
oh, I need this plug so bad, yo. Like I every day I wake up with PTSD of being a nursing assistant, and I say that not because of such a shortage,
Mm-hmm.
of such a lack of resources in those
Mm-hmm. Which puts
places.
a strain
Puts a
on the
strain.
existing nurses.
I worked during the pandemic. We had over 40 patients. We had 2 nurses
Oh my god.
overnight and 4 nursing assistants, sometimes 3 nursing assistants with what 30, 40 patients. I'm looking at like 12, 13 patients that I alone would have to clean, that I alone would have to bathe,
Transport.
transport,
Mm-hmm.
feed, put to bed, get out of bed. I mean, and this was very low pay,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a little difficult to get these degrees. A little help from somebody back in the past, got me there. Thankfully, I was lucky. I had help from people, but not
Yeah.
everybody had the assistance that I had, and that was to become a nursing assistant.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And there is such a shortage of people, and guess what? United States, your citizenry getting old AF
Yeah.
quickly.
Wait, don't bury my
Oh, I didn't know you had it
I
there.
have stuff.
Ooh, see how I'm always like preview. All right, what you got?
Preview.
So there is a nursing shortage, and I've
There
seen it
is
firsthand.
yeah,
I've
there's
seen
definitely
it
a nursing shortage.
firsthand.
Yeah. So there sorry, the the American we're looking at the American Association of College for of Nursing. Hold on, let me go
Mhm,
back to just real quick. This is the source, right?
mhm,
American Association of Colleges for Nursing. The nursing shortage fact sheet is what we're looking at. So in the area where they discuss the reasons for it, they cite bunch of different reasons.
mhm,
One of them, though, is that they did report recent drops in enrollment in nursing school.
mm.
So this has already been an issue right before these kind of caps kind of came into play. There was
Whoa.
already a lower enrollment rate. So they noticed a drop in both PhD and masters in nursing in programs by 3.1% and 0.9% respectively, which I know the percentages may seem low, but when we've already been facing a shortage and there's not as many people applying to go into nursing school, and now you're adding caps to those programs, yeah, I'm gonna guess the shortage is gonna get significantly worse.
That's what it was. This was already a breakdown during decent times
Mm-hmm.
of people being like, screw it, I'm not going. And by the way, a lot of this was financial.
Yeah.
A lot of people going, I just can't afford to go to school
Exactly.
for this.
Yeah, and it's just gotten worse, obviously.
I
And
miss the old day. We could just be like a squire and
when you
just
can have goals.
well, you could just like find a mentor. And
Oh, you meant
would,
the old days.
yeah, old days. We just find like a mentor, and then they would teach you something, and then you just be
That's
that.
old white people days because we weren't, our people weren't squires.
No, you're right. You're right. We were, I believe it's called enslaved.
Yes,
You know what? Never mind.
I was like, what good old days are you talking about? Ain't nobody in our lineage was.
Well, I should say, you know, how rich white people used to do it was they used to be like, I'm just interested in stars, and be like, then you'll just learn about stars.
All right.
You know, but now it's
That's
like
how we
you have
got
to learn,
astrology.
yeah, but now it's like you gotta learn all this other bullshit. It's not BS, but a lot of your programs and a lot of the things around your degree are not really for the thing you want to do ultimately. So
Yeah.
so I'm saying, so a lot of people are already paying for things extra outside
Yeah.
of the profession that they want to, which is already exuberant price. And look at this.
Yeah, exactly. So in addition to just low enrollment rate, there's also a shortage on school faculty. So they actually reported having. Why are we laughing?
Because not only do we not have enough nurses, we don't have enough people to teach nurses.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't highlight it here just because I couldn't highlight multiple things, which I need to. Yeah, but damn, then I gotta put it in a PDF. It's a whole thing. Never mind.
We start learning this tech.
It's fine. So
if you
just
want us to learn more tech, subscribe so we can hire more tech people.
ticker.
Ticker.
Okay, I hide it. Okay, but yeah. So going back to their faculty shortage too.
Yeah.
So I know I don't have it highlighted, but read with me, y'all. So in the middle of the page, it says a shortage of nursing school faculty is restricting nursing program enrollments, right? So first bullet, second sentence of first bullet. U.S. nursing schools turned away 65,766 qualified applications, not applicants, applications from, I can't ever pronounce that.
Baccalaureate?
But bachelor, that means bachelor, right? I can't ever pronounce that.
Baccalaureate.
I said bacalao.
Baccalaureate.
I'm reading serious stuff. From baccalaureate, bachelor and graduate nursing programs in 2023 due to insufficient number of faculty, clinical sites, classroom space, and clinical preceptors, as well as budget constraints. So they actually had to turn away a bunch of people that were qualified. And if the schools themselves had resources, they could have included in the next class of people.
Whoa, over 65,000 people were not accepted because it just wasn't enough space. Actually, that's true.
Or there was, resources, right? So also faculty and all that stuff.
Well, no, when I was at like LaGuardia Community College, like they were like, if to get into the nursing program, which by the way I didn't do that, they were like, yo, you need like an A+ because they're so serious. So when I got a B, I was like, I better drop out of this program because I'm already not gonna get into like the nursing.
You could have worked your way into.
You know what, La Co-Host, I just didn't want to. I'd be real. I was looking for that first B, and as soon as I got it, I was like, I ain't it.
You were looking for a reason.
I was looking for a reason.
Lord.
That was my 13th reason.
Oh no, that's a sad show. Okay, anyways, so moving on to a bunch of other reasons. So on top of all this, a bunch of nurses are retiring. So reading from, again, same source, apparently according to 2022 National Sample Survey of Registered Nurses, 23% of registered nurses working in outpatient, ambulatory, and clinical settings have retired or plan to retire over the next 5 years. So that was back in 2022. So we're within that time space right now. So this is also adding to the shortage. And then at the bottom of this, there's also the title, Changing Demographics Signal a Need for More Nurses to Care for Our Aging Population.
There we go.
Yeah. So on the bottom here, just reading off of it, the U.S. Census reported that the number of Americans aged 65 and older is projected to increase from 58 million in 2022 to 82 million by 2050. That is 23% of the population. And What?
That's us.
This
2050.
all right. I just found out that because I just found out that I'm middle aged
Like co-host just found out that
or close to middle
middle age
age.
actually means almost like means 40. They're almost 40.
Okay, who? Let me know in the comments if you also thought middle age meant 50 because you
Yeah.
think the middle of everything is half of 100.
I felt so bad. I crushed her dream. She's like, wait a minute,
I
what?
lost a decade.
She's like, wait a minute,
I thought
middle
I
age
didn't
is
know that.
not. I was like, nope. What do you think I'm freaking out about my age?
Oh my god, I lost a whole decade, but
Yeah.
whatever. It's fine. If
Yes, but a lot of and that's you're looking at now. Look, and this is actually realistic now.
yeah,
This is realistic. We are. I'm 30. I'm gonna be 38.
yeah,
Right, and you're looking at you need to put in the work for when we're older, so the infrastructure's there
yeah.
for our
This is for
quality
our
of
future.
life,
Just
for
because,
our quality of life at the end.
right? Like these are all inevitable things. We are all going to get older. We are all going to need health, some kind of health, something. We're all gonna. Hell, when I worked at a physical therapy office, I know most of our client base was either older or athletes or dancers or artists, right? Because there's a million different ways. Or
Yeah.
you get into a car accident because that also
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Just because you don't need any of, if you're fortunate enough to not need
Good
any
for
of
you.
the help from these professionals because they are, just that just means that you happen to be lucky.
Right now,
Correct.
it's
And
coming for you.
we gotta
Age, health, final destination, old age.
we gotta figure out how to do graphics. Age. Let's have everything flashing up.
Age, cars, hoagies. Because you got a choke on something. I needed.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's gonna our aging population is
Mhm.
increasing steadily, and there's not gonna be people to take care of them. So that's
Damn, we ain't got no teachers. We ain't got no loans. We ain't got.
especially if you say we ain't got as a sentence.
We ain't
Clearly,
got.
we got no teachers.
We ain't got no teachers.
We do not have teachers.
We do not have any teachers.
Enough teachers.
We don't have enough teachers. Our population is aging, and it's difficult to obtain a loan.
Okay.
Homie, we fucked.
Vernacular. From where that they do the finger thing.
That's I didn't know that. Oh see, oh my gosh,
It's terrible.
it's terrible.
It's always terrible. Do you want to hear how it keeps being terrible?
Let me know.
So, looking at an independent article, a person has died from the H5N5 bird flu strain. Here's what we know. The infection is the first recorded human case of an H5N5 avian influenza virus. So, the first person to ever die from a new strain, or not a new strain, but new for humans because it's never been transferred into a human. So, this is the first time this is happening.
On Thanksgiving,
Just
gobble gobble.
right. So this is dated on November 27th. It was Thanksgiving, and you didn't have to make that joke. You would with your crude butt.
Gobble gobble.
So not to spend just for the sake of time, I'm just gonna quickly summarize.
Wait, it was in the U.S.
Yeah, it was in Washington State. Yeah.
Oh my God,
The
we have
man
a new
died.
strain of bird
Yes.
flu. We don't even know about that.
Yeah. Well, there's so much going on. This is the problem. So that's why I'm focusing in on like, hey, for just nurses. Hey, just nurses. Putting aside social workers because our mental health crisis is legit and like a really big issue, and they deal with a lot of other social aspects of how things are interconnected. Whatever. Putting aside accountants and our ability to just I don't know understand our finances. Putting aside a physical therapist and our ability to recover from injuries. Yeah, there's also a random ass bird flu strain that just killed someone for the first time ever in history.
I thought RFK's Ravens were supposed to
You thought RFK was gonna do anything?
inform us of when. I thought the Ravens were put in charge of bird flus.
He's the Ravens.
You know he has ravens as pets.
Of course he does.
RFK has ravens as pets,
Fucking
and I thought they would be in
po-ass.
charge of the bird flu chapter of the Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, Edgar Allan Poe.
So now we have
Ravens.
somebody died in this country of bird flu.
Yeah.
Not a peep. Oh my God.
No, not a peep. But like on mainstream media, no, yeah, because everyone's so stuck
I
on
didn't mean
like
to say peep, but I didn't mean to say like a joke. That wasn't a pun, by the way.
Yeah,
Like,
I
not a
figured.
peep.
I figured.
But no, but that's just it. But I mean, oh my God, had somebody died of, I don't know if somebody died of Ebola in the US.
I think
when-
people had, yeah, I think that's already still.
I don't think anybody actually died of Ebola in the
Oh.
US. I think somebody like had gotten sick during Obama, and they were like, if Obama
Oh,
lets
yeah.
one person die,
Yeah.
and Obama, like I think Obama was wheeling that person not to die of Ebola under his watch. Meanwhile, here he is, Trump once again, probably letting another gosh darn pandemic or epidemic or flu-demic or birdemic,
Right. So
and nobody gives a damn.
just it's because there's so much happening, right? So just to clarify, this H5N5 is different than H5N1 bird flu, right? We understand that there's different strains after the shit show that was a pandemic. We
Okay.
understand there's different strains of viruses, right?
Right.
So bird flu is talking about a lot of different strains. So H5N1 actually has been growing in the number of people worldwide. So
Okay.
there's that, which wasn't a thing before. But this is the first case of H5N5. So this was a man in Washington that unfortunately passed away on November 21st from the virus. And this virus strain is considered to be, quote, high pathogenicity.
Mhm.
I did it. Pathogenicity,
Mhm.
which basically means that the symptoms are incredibly severe when they show up in birds, and they were severe in the man that when he was
Oh,
hospitalized as well. So medical experts are also warning that this transmission could be a sign of more pandemics and epidemics since viruses are mutating. So this is clearly not the time to be putting caps on anything medical, actually, in my opinion. But just a thought.
this is what people don't understand, that a government, and look,
Look.
I'm somebody who hates the US all day, every day. And by the way, I don't mean like that. I mean, like, I can criticize the United States all day for the terrible things that it
Right, I was
does.
about to say, don't say you hate the US.
No, 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 no,
It's
no.
not about
Don't
hating the
clip that. It's
US.
not about hate. It's about, like, they're constantly, the biggest export is weapons. They're constantly shipping weapons to other countries. Free
Mhm.
Palestine all day, every day. That's how we say it around here.
All day.
And then, they're also, military weapons and displacement and enslavement and the stealing of indigenous people's lands. But the one thing that the United States was doing
Mhm.
was that it invested a lot of money into trying to stop global pandemics and epidemics, because
It was before, yeah.
the United States understood
Yeah.
that diseases move about the world.
Mhm.
They can land on your food very easily and kill your people off.
Mhm.
And the United States at one time, I thought it liked having healthy bodies, at least not like, dying from diseases very quickly. So, because they
Mhm.
love their workers.
Mhm.
But now it's like there's literally a new bird flu, stronger symptoms, H5N5. Never seen this before. And not a word from RFK, not a peep from.
And that's the problem because that's why I believe we talked about it in an episode or maybe in a reporting, but the fact that things are being deregulated, right? And you have idiots running these major agencies just focusing on health, right? The major health agency that is supposed to be our prime communication on these things,
Yeah.
right? The CDC that I grew up with would have put out an alert
Yeah.
of, hey, the first time ever, hey, just be careful, hey, blah, 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 whatever the
A new
hell.
disease used to take precedent over everything.
Right, but when you live in the age where people think vaccines make you magnetic, apparently,
Now
yeah,
you
that's
Oh
why.
my god, now that H5N5 is just another hoax from the Democrats coming up trying to derail Trump. There's a fucking bird flu that already killed somebody in this country.
And when you limit who has access to actual proper health education and who has access to the schooling in the way that's being done by this administration by imposing these caps, because again, that's what this is actually doing. Yeah, you're limiting who has the ability to cure themselves. Yeah, you're limiting who has the ability to try to fight against all these things. Now, when you also throw in the fact that again, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, has also been gutted and turned to
Yeah.
crap, right? So, and now we're letting I think forever chemicals and different stuff, and now we're allowing all these. We're getting rid of a lot of regiment to review our food coming in. When you add in the fact that there's higher like climate change also has a play in it because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but with higher global temperatures also it allows more viruses to spread
Oh, yeah,
because
heat?
they grow in hot climates. So
Yeah.
if the world is getting warmer, just generally speaking, you're going to have, and this is a statistic, you can look it up, but it just allows for the creation of more viruses and more things to spread. So it's all tied together. So whether you actually care about it or not, I think it's going to affect you.
Damn,
It will.
damn. Oh my god, man, we really need to educate people in this country.
Yeah, so speaking of education in this country versus others, the
Mhm.
other issue is the debacle of H-1B1 visas. So I candidly don't care if you're against H-1B1 visas. It's ridiculous. And clearly this president is flip-floppy on it because he just recently said that they actually need to bring in certain talent internationally because there's not enough smart people in the
Mm,
US, right? And we all
mhm,
saw that viral clip. But literally just Googling, because I was like, I know that there's been a lot recently,
mhm.
just from a quick Google of H-1B1 visas and Trump, let's just look at some some highlights here. American Immigration Council headline: Trump's $100,000 fee for H-1B1 visas. What you need to know. BBC H-1B1: Trump adds $100,000 fee for skilled workers. Forbes: New Trump immigration policy ending the H-1B1 visa lottery. But then 2 weeks ago, NBC News: Trump calls H-1B1 visas necessary to bring in, quote, certain talents that he says the US lacks. So this is so on top of one, we don't have enough people like actual medical professionals here.
Mhm.
Now we're not training enough medical professionals because
Mhm.
we're putting caps and there's shortages left and right on faculty and enrollment was already done and all of that. Now we're also not going to allow H-1B1 visa skilled workers to come in that could potentially fill this deficit because you want to put caps on stuff. But then you want to go back on your word and actually acknowledge the fact that this is necessary. So who the hell knows what you actually are going to do with this? So that's what's happening on the international side of the shortage that exists with medical professionals that are now going to be affected by this arbitrary designation. Just saying.
Damn, dude. Damn, dude. Damn, dude. Like before, we talked about this before Trump was a theory, right?
Mhm.
And now he's in here. Oh my God, there's a few Latino men whose neck I metaphorically want to ring that were like, Trump, when he comes in, he's gonna make it so much easier for people para tener la escuela, to be able to have money, to be able to, like, yo,
Mhm.
I knew y'all were being fooled before, but now seeing all into play, oh my God, I hope it's eating away at some people at
Hopefully.
how fucking stupid they are for believing this guy was going to do anything for you. He is cutting every single possible way for you to even have a healthy community.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ.
And it's 100% meant to disenfranchise certain kinds of people.
Yeah.
Speaking of disenfranchisement, so clearly going to massively affect people that can't just afford out of pocket costs for any of this, right? Whether it's going to school, whether it's trying to get a degree, whether it's trying to get healthcare, or any of this. But not only that, part of the conversation that people have been rightfully flagging is that a lot of these fields that are being deemed not professional are led by women.
Mm-hmm.
So starting again with nursing and looking at census data, this is a census article entitled Your Healthcare is in Women's Hands. Women hold 76% of all healthcare jobs, gaining in higher paying occupations. This is
Mm-hmm.
dated back in August 14, 2019. Let's keep in mind, obviously, that was a couple of years ago, but given that the census is done every 10 years, this is the most up to date information, at least from the census, on nurses right now.
Mm-hmm.
So just switching down. So just reading off of the highlight here, where women dominate a section. Quote, by far, the largest healthcare occupation is registered nurses with over 2.4 million workers. And that's how many women are in the field of nursing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's followed by psychiatric and home health aides, where that they come up as 1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Women make up more than 85% of workers in both of these large occupations, in psychiatric and home health aides as well. So that's when it comes to nursing, which I think is no surprise. I feel like we all kind of see that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of nurses tend to be women. Although there are increase as time has gone on, I saw it in another site that men are the number of male nurses are increasing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
also
yeah.
been really
No,
cool,
I
and
remember.
non-binary nurses too, which is cool.
Oh, it's good. No,
Yeah.
I remember when I first started in the hospital, it was like would be like nurses and nursing assistants. The boss would be like, the doctor would be like, "Good morning, ladies," and Che. I'm like, "Hello, everybody."
You were part of the crew.
That's part of the crew. One of the first dudes sometimes to be working at the
Oh, I'm
hospitals.
sure.
Yeah, as a
Yeah.
nursing assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just a quick summary on the other professions. So, looking at a Newsweek article, are women more affected by Trump admin's professional degree change? And this is dated back no or updated as of November 25th, 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So, just looking at a quick summary on that again for the sake of time. Um, I'm just going to read off. I don't know why I highlighted everything. I usually highlight what I'm going to read. I'm just reading all of it. So
I know, that's crazy.
so, nursing is the most female dominated of all the affected fields. The American Nursing Association has warned that excluding nursing programs may limit access to advanced practice degrees and worsen existing shortages, like we discussed. Alongside nursing, teaching is also one of the most female
Mm-hmm.
dominated major professions in the US at 73% female. Similarly, physician's assistants are at 73%, physical therapists, 64%, accountants and auditors, 57%, social workers, 83%, are all roles primarily taken on by female workers, according to BLS data. And BLS is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, labor force
Mm-hmm.
statistics. And then the only affected field area that's not doesn't show up as predominantly female occupied is architects.
They need to throw one bro one in there. I gotta say though, I'll be real with you, and I apologize, ladies. I didn't know y'all were crushing it in the accountant game.
Oh yeah.
Like most of the time you see movies, accountants are the dudes, and then there'll be like one accountant woman where all the accountant men will fall for her.
Well, it's funny
I'm like,
because in my corporate career, actually, I have met a lot of female accountants.
That's same.
And I actually have a couple of like, for like friend, like they're friends, yeah, like friends of friends or friends, that are accountants and stuff, and they're women too. Yeah.
Insane.
So
And see, that's not, you don't get credit. Women always getting cut
for
out.
sure.
And this is where a lot of people, again, we're very concerned about this. It's, wow, you're really cutting off a lot of women's ability that they found. And look, these are fields that women have been able to find space in and be able to use to get out of situations
Right.
like, you
And
know,
well, and
marriages and things like that. These are the fields that they were able to use to empower themselves.
and that's the other thing.
You know
Yeah,
what I
it is
mean?
the domino, right? Like, let's not forget, it's not just, oh, women, it's diminishing the impact that women are having in the workforce. It's diminishing the access to certain types of careers and degrees. It's diminishing,
Independence.
right? It's diminishing access to education. It's diminishing their ability to be independent from men and or partners, especially in during a time that we're losing our rights left and right. Right. So like, this is again like one of my favorite phrases, by design. I do
Yeah.
feel like a lot of this is by design. So I know that we talked about maybe bringing this up, maybe not. I do want to bring it up just because it is part of the conversation online where people are discussing the fact that a lot of these careers are also what people are calling reporting type of
Hmm.
professions, meaning that they are supposed to report if ever they find out, or most of these are, right? Like not all of them, because accountants and all that, I think,
No,
don't necessarily fall into that.
architects don't fall
Yeah,
into this.
exactly. But educators, social workers for sure,
Hmm.
nursing, all the,
Physician assistants,
yeah,
physical
even physical,
therapists.
yeah, like everything in the medical
Hmm.
field are professions that they're supposed to report if there's any kind of harm being done, especially to children. And giving everything that's been happening and Epstein and all of that, a lot of the conversation is focused on that. Like, oh, I wonder if this is also intentional to try to silence some of the professions that could be helping
Hmm.
in the subject matter. And I know that, I mean, I personally see the validity in that statement, right? Because even if not every single nurse, or if a lot of people aren't doing that, it doesn't negate the fact that some people probably are abiding by the oath that they probably took to report when they see anything that might be harmful to of any victim, right? Like
Yeah.
not just children, but any
Yeah.
victim. So do I think it was a targeted attack? I don't know. I think that's speculation. It's very possible for sure.
Hmm.
I just don't think that that's all the signs are necessarily pointing to that. I think a lot of it is also just trying to limit who has access to certain kind of
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
But I do think I don't think it's wrong to say that this is likely to affect at least some people being able to report, right? Because if you had someone like me going into nursing, hell yeah, I'm gonna be talking
Hmm.
about reporting whatever the hell kind of crazy stuff
Yeah.
that I see,
Yeah.
right? And now all of a sudden I don't have the ability to. Yeah, that sucks. That is, you know,
I see why some people it go either way. I think for the Trump administration, this was just sort of like a happy accident.
yeah,
They're like, oh, these are also, because like some people have said, unfortunately, I think somebody like Jeffrey Epstein had probably hurt thousands of girls.
yeah,
There have been so many reports and nobody's done anything. There's so many people who are in the field and do report and nothing gets done. So it's
mm-hmm,
sort of like, this is, yes, you're right. These are people who report these kinds of
mm-hmm,
crimes, supposed to look out for children, but unfortunately, the system already fails people in so many ways
yeah.
that.
I just yeah.
But there is that layer too
Yeah,
that we
I just
cannot
also
ignore.
know, not direct actually, no, I know a couple of social workers directly, but, I also considered going to social work when I was younger in
Yeah.
college, and that's a career that I considered because I had a couple of different, not directly, but, either friends or certain family members had certain cases going on with people, and I know the importance of social workers. Those are
Hmm.
incredible advocates that are very well versed in not only psychology, and sure, they're not therapists or whatever the hell, but they have this interconnection of psychology, sociology, and just like literally culture and all these different dynamics and
Hmm.
intersections that come into
Hmm.
play in these different
Yeah.
scenarios. Whether it is, child protection cases, whether it is domestic violence cases, whether there's alcoholism, drug use, like all these different
Hmm.
things that you shouldn't have a cop there for because it's not a cop
No.
issue.
No.
It's definitely a social worker. It's definitely like more of a specialist, someone
Yeah.
that actually knows what the hell's going on and understands the intricacies of it and the sensitivity of it. So
Yeah.
now you're going to have even less of those people showing up to cases
Yeah.
when that's really what's needed.
And then, also this is another situation, and I'm glad you brought that up, where maybe we'll still have social workers, but you understand that we might not have social workers from such diverse backgrounds the
Right.
way we do now.
Right.
Because, they try to say, well, if you get more black cops or you get more Latino cops from the neighborhood, they might like do a better job policing. That look, listen,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, anybody who puts on a badge becomes a dick. All right, that's just they get drunk with power. But something like a social worker, that's different. Somebody who grew up in the community, who understands the community, who comes from the same background. they understand the intricacies of families and the background, and those are the kind of jobs where having someone from your own background could actually make a difference. And by the way, I'm not just saying that. There are actually studies that show that having more Black cops in Black neighborhoods does not make police violence go down. If anything, kind of goes up, because they feel like they have to be twice as tough as the white police officer.
Well, it's not that they feel like I'm
There's
assuming they also get the
pressure
pressure.
within.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
saying,
Yeah.
but that's what they feel by the
Yeah.
pressure within the department or whatever. But something like social work, that actually does. There's a correlation between closer to the community to better results,
Yeah.
because they are more
Yeah.
sensitive to what's going
Well,
on.
and it's not only
You also
that,
don't
it's
want a white woman coming into an indigenous community and telling them how we've had too
yeah.
much history of social workers or those kinds of people being brought in to take the kids away.
Yeah, and it's not to negate the importance of also white social
No, I'm
workers,
not
like,
saying that at all.
but there are nuances.
Cultural
Yeah,
nuances
there's
that we
cultural
need.
nuance. That's just,
There's some white social workers that freaking crush it.
and for anyone that thinks that like that's not true, or I mean, it's not directly the same at all. But I'll just end with this: that early on in my career, I had a situation where it was a pro bono case for an asylum case, and the man actually was Honduran, and I'm half Honduran. So, and I was also one of the few people that spoke Spanish. Actually, one of the two people that spoke Spanish in the New York office, which was always shocking, but all good, corporate law. And
Wow.
for this pro bono case that we were helping out on, they needed a translator. So they called my office. I went in. And as soon as I went in, I noticed that the guy was kind of like on the defense. And I can tell it's because the energy of the room was like, I remember it was like mostly white guys. And then this one other, I forget who the woman was, but a white woman. And she was like really great and like really trying. But again, it's a cultural sensitivity thing. And especially when you're dealing with someone's immigration case, in an asylum case at that point, and it was for political asylum, if I remember right. There's a lot of he's understandably worried and does not trust white people, right? Because culturally,
Yeah.
you're just different.
Yeah.
It's just a different thing, right? In the
Yeah.
same way that it's just human nature.
Yeah.
And I just went in and started speaking, and I was like, hey, like I was like, what's going on, all that stuff, and he slowly started opening up, and then as soon as I mentioned where my dad was from and like all that, and he was like, "Oh crap," like blah blah, and like instantly kind of became more comfortable. And it is just that, right? Like people
Yeah.
just feel more comfortable, one, speaking in their native language, and then
Mhm.
also culturally being connected with someone. It's just an easy kind of dynamic.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with sensitive topics like this, it's incredibly important to have someone that very much understands and either has been through similar things or is able to empathize in a real, genuine way. And you're losing a lot of that by
Mhm.
imposing these caps,
Yeah.
because there's a big reason why a lot of the population in these professions are women too, right? Like women tend to be more empathetic because society allows us to be, right? Like that's its own
Yeah.
separate conversation.
Yeah.
Women tend to be more in tune with emotions and people because again, society allows us to be. It's
Yeah.
not because it's our training or biology. No, it's
No.
just women are allowed to feel things and men aren't. So,
Yeah. And we should be more nurses. We should open up ourselves to these fields. But
but yeah,
anything else?
that's it. That's it.
Listen,
That's it.
that's it. Share this with someone.
Yeah,
If
let
you
people
let
know.
people know, because this may seem like the kind of topic that you're just like, whatever, let it just roll off. It was another news story that just went through, but
Hmm.
share this to people so they realize the kind of danger health wise. We just lived through a pandemic, people.
Right. This is all happening a couple years after the
And
pandemic.
Trump essentially is putting us in a worse position to be able to handle something like that
Mhm.
now and in the future.
Yeah.
We got new bird flus killing people in Washington. Trump went DC or the regular one. They went the regular one. He goes, I don't have to worry about it yet.
The
Until
regular one.
the regular one, regular DC, regular Washington or DC Washington, regular one. He's like, I ain't got to worry about it yet. On the other side of the country because he's still too stupid to realize how this all works. So please share this with people so they realize what is Trump actually doing to our healthcare systems, our students, and how he's putting us in more danger by doing this thing. And it's not going to be easy to ramp these things back up.
Mhm.
Okay, he is, even if he's gone in 2028, the things he's putting us through now are going to live long after he's just farted his last fart and gone to the Big Mac in hell.
The Big Mac in hell. That's awesome.
That's all that's waiting for him. Just one Big Mac, and the rest is just
Yeah,
you know.
so just keep the conversation going. Again, there's a rhyme and reason to all the things that are being
Yeah.
done. I know that sounds conspiracy theory. Trust me, I hear it.
We don't
But
bring you stuff like that.
but I promise, like at least when it's speculation, you hear me calling it speculation.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and when you hear
um
me say conspiracy, y'all put on my tinfoil hat, and I ain't had one on today.
But thanks for listening. Let's
Thank
keep the
you.
conversation going. Feel free to comment your thoughts in the comment section.
Yeah.
And we appreciate
Share
the
this with
support.
people.
Share this with
Always
people.
appreciate that. Thank you so much. We will see you when we see you.
That sounds like it's on site. Damn, you don't have to say it
When
like
we see you, we gonna
No.
ask you about nursing, and if you can't answer these questions,
No, we'll see you and put a
we'll give
smile
you a
on your
hug.
face.
We'll give you a
There
big
you
hug and
go.
answer any question you have.
All right,
All
thanks
right,
everyone.
Take care. See you next time. Say bye like a host.
Bye.
Bye.